It's been a busy year for former CBC broadcaster and restaurant critic Karl Wells. Back in June, Karl Wells started an annual scholarship for students of LGBTQ2S plus studies at Memorial University. He still works in broadcasting. He hosts a show on Rogers Television called Point to Point, and he has just finished filming A Christmas Carol for Rogers Television. In addition to writing a memoir, Weekend AM's Paula Gale called up Karl Wells for a chat to catch up on all of this.
Yeah, you've had quite the year. I know you're just a very busy person. And I just want to acknowledge that you spoke out about some of the homophobia you experienced here at the CBC, and you were outspoken about that. And you also started a scholarship for students of LGBTQ2S plus studies at Memorial University. What's been the, overall reaction to that?
Wonderful. I mean, the reaction to the scholarship was amazing. I can't get over actually how many people contacted me and told me that it was a wonderful thing that I was doing, and a lot of former CBC colleagues actually contacted me and said it was a wonderful thing. So yeah, I mean, I did it because I thought it was a nice legacy to have. Somebody once told me about money. There are no pockets on coffins.
You got that right.
So Larry and I, my husband, we didn't have children, and we both had very, very good jobs, and we were trying to think of something to do to kind of mark the fact that we were here. I know that a lot of LGBTQ2S plus youth are still struggling, especially the transgender community, and for whom I have so much love and compassion. And I just felt, anything that allows people to learn more, to become more aware, more educated about our community is a good thing.
I know. People are going to be really interested in reading a memoir of your life. How's that going?
Slowly. I never really thought anybody would be interested in reading anything that I had to write about my life. But a couple of my former CBC bosses actually suggested to me that I should do a book. And so they obviously think I have something to say. But I started by reviewing a lot of things I had written over the years, and by looking at old photographs and watching old videotapes and audio tapes. And I'm a pack rat, I keep everything. And so I could go back right to when I began. I mean, I'll just give you an example. The very first time I did A Christmas Carol was on the radio when I was 16 years of age.
My goodness, Karl.
And so I was doing Scrooge when I was 16, and I did it on a Christmas special on VOWR radio. And I still have that tape.
Why is Scrooge and that story so close to your heart?
Well, the first time I saw it was on television when, we had one television channel. Can you believe that? We had one television channel, and every Christmas they would run the film that was made in 1951, which was slightly before I was born, by Alistair Sim. And Alistair Sim played Scrooge, Ebenezer Scrooge, perfectly, in my view. And it was a ghost story. I loved ghost stories when I was a kid. And so it was very scary, pretty much up until the end. And, well, it got really scary towards the end. And then, of course, we had that wonderful denouement where he changes his tune, and everybody's joyous and happy, and God blesses everyone. But I watched that movie, and it really impressed me, and read the book, and I started doing it before a live audience, I guess, when I was with the CBC, and we would do it at for the Food Sharing Association every Christmas. CBC Radio did it, and I was one of the performers for that. And I don't know how many years we did it. I did it at Gower, and then when I retired from the CBC, I wasn't allowed to do it anymore because I wasn't on staff. And so Candace Vocum, the choir, asked me if I would perform at their Christmas concert, and would I do part of A Christmas Carol. And so I did it with them, and we did it right up until the pandemic started. And now, unfortunately, Candace Vocum are no more. They have disbanded. Their director, Chad Stride, moved to England, and so the choir disbanded. And so I thought, well, that's it. I'm never going to do it again, you know. But
then,
but then I visited the Commissariat in St. John's. I call it the Commissariat House, but actually I think the official name is the Commissariat. And for people who don't know about it, it's an historic site here in St. John's, which was built in the 1820s, I think. And it was the home of the assistant commissary general, who was basically the supply officer for the British Army, who were basically running Newfoundland back then. And so I did a tour of it, and when I was looking at the different rooms, especially when I went into the room which was called the pay room, I thought, my God, this could be Ebenezer Scrooge's counting house, because it had, Bob Cratchit's high desk there and the high stool, the whole thing. And I thought, well, you know, every single room here could be used if you were doing a film of A Christmas Carol. And I thought, wouldn't that be neat to be able to film A Christmas Carol here? So I just happened to mention it to the guy who, Perry Cooper, produces my show, Karl Wells Point to Point on Rogers. And we got talking about it and said, you know, why don't we do it? Why don't we make a film? But, you know, we've only got you. We'll only have the one actor. So then I basically created a one-man show and got the story pared down to 58 minutes. And learned all 58 minutes.
And how many parts do you play in that? Like how?
Well, I don't do all of them because we had to cut a lot of them, but I do about 20.
Wow, Karl.
Yeah, I do about 20 different parts, and so it was a challenge learning it, but you know, it was good for my old brain. And I managed to learn it off by heart, and then I rehearsed it for a month in our basement here. I turned our basement into the Commissariat house because I had to work with props, and I knew we didn't have much time to film it. That's why I had to be very, rigorous in my rehearsal process, which was about a month, and I worked with all the props and everything. And
so was it what you expected?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. I mean, we didn't have to do very many retakes at all. I mean, we basically shot everything upstairs. Everything was shot out of sequence, because if one room, for example, required us to shoot 5 scenes, well, we'd shoot all 5 scenes at once, and it looks fabulous. I mean, I saw the first edit. The sound is great. The images, the video looks fabulous. It's a neat little 1-hour film.
A one-man film.
Yeah. Not the first time it's been done, mind you, but it's the first time I've done it, and it's the first time the Commissariat's ever appeared in A Christmas Carol, so...
I think people will enjoy this for sure.
I hope so.
Thank you so much for chatting with me.
I was the first host of Weekend AM.
Were
Did
you?
You know that?
I need to write this in the introduction. You were the first host?
I was the very first host of Weekend AM. I was there when it was created, and my first producer was John O'Mara.
John O'Mara, there you go.
Yeah, and one of the first interviews I did on Weekend AM was with the famous British actor knight, Sir Michael Redgrave. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great idea for a weekend show. Before Weekend AM, actually, we did music. I mean, it was basically a disc jockey show, and we, the announcers took turns doing it every week, and you picked out your own music. So a lot of people liked doing that. Then they decided to turn it into a proper show and make it an arts magazine show. So that's when I was asked to be the host, and I hosted for about a year, I think.
The rest is history. The show is still going, and you're still on TV, so that's all good.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Karl.
Thanks so much. Look, thank you for asking me. I hope everybody enjoys the show. And again, happy holidays to all the Weekend AM listeners.